Okay, welcome. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. The last live stream before the weekend, although I guess what I'll say is the last regularly scheduled live stream for the weekend because it is my intention to stream this weekend. I'm going to talk a little bit about that as we go. I hope you guys will join me for that. But for now, let's give it a bit of time. Let's see who joins. Thank you guys. It's been a excellent stream. I got a lot of really great news to talk about when it comes to this stream. So I'm looking forward to people joining me and I can share it. Um, just waiting to see who joins. And as always, please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button when you get the chance. Um, we're here to take today's another one of these just ask us anything streams. So nothing in particular. Anything you want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry? Any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. Thank you guys who have all been joining and making these last few weeks so successful. This last month, my most successful month ever when it comes to these streams. So thank you so much for that. So let's give it a bit of time. See who joins. Welcome, Danny, Dreamcatcher, who says, wow, thank you guys both for being here. If you're new to the stream, please hit like and subscribe. And let me know if you have any thoughts or questions or comments on Freemasonry. Positive, negative, neutral. But what does the term goy mean? I think I know it, but I don't know for sure. I think so, Dreamcatcher. I think it's been a little while since you've been on the stream. So welcome back, I guess. Sohail and Donai, I don't remember if you guys have been on the stream before. Ashton, I am okay. I hope you're okay. Thank you for being here. We're here to chat about Freemasonry. So any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, please let me know. It's wonderful to look like we have some new people on the stream. So thank you for being here. I don't know what that means though, Sohail. Ozzy, hello. Ella, hello. A lot of people joining us. Thank you guys for joining. As I said, I'm here to chat about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral on Freemasonry, I'd love to hear it. Uh, so it is not any fertility cult, Gothric. But welcome, Gothric. Thank you for being here. I hope that you will hit the like and subscribe button. Freemasonry is not a cult of any sort. It's a fraternity or a civic and civil organization. There are also women Freemasons, um, but Freemasonry is ultimately a social or civic organization that derived from the stonemason guilds of medieval Europe in the 15th and 16th centuries. Well, Ozzy, I hope you know what the like and subscribe button is, and you'll hit the like and subscribe button. But again, Freemasonry, it's a civic organization or a civil organization, um, or even a social group or social club, which again dates its origins to the stonemason guilds of the 15th and 16th centuries. My name is Cameron. Uh, well, unfortunately, Freemasonry has often found itself at the heart of conspiracy theories, which is unfortunate, but that is the case. That conspiracy theorists have often targeted Freemasonry due to the private nature of some of our rituals. However, we are not kind of what the conspiracy theorists say. I'm glad that you're a fan, Ashton. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Um, Ying, sorry. Oh, Freemasons fighting the Templars. I think that's a little bit of Hollywood that you're falling for. Right. Freemasonry dates after the Knights Templars. The Knights Templars were in the 11th to 13th centuries. Freemasonry, really, it started in 1717. You can push that back to 1634. I cannot induct you Gothic. You'd have to talk to your local Masonic lodge and ask about initiation. It's not called induct, it's called initiation. But for that, you first need to contact your local Masonic lodge. Uh, Rituals. So, yes, Ozzy, like the stonecutters from The Simpsons, only not quite. Not quite like the stonecutters from The Simpsons. Um, that's more played up for humor and comedy, which was funny. I love it. I thought it was hilarious. But uh, it's kind of a takeoff and a send off and a humorous version of that. For the Knights Templar, no, the Knights Templar 1113, if I recall correctly. Freemasonry 1717 or 1634. Chill guy, I'm sorry that you sold it. For whatever it's worth, one piece of advice I'd always give you, if you do ever come across a Masonic ring or anything Masonic, you can do whatever you want with it if it belonged to you or your family. But as a kind gesture, you can maybe return it to the local Masonic lodge and let them know you found it, where you found it. They may know the brother to whom it belonged. Um, I'm smiling on the inside, Dreamcatcher, but if enough people like and subscribe, I will smile. How about that? But you have to like and subscribe first. All right, there's a lot of please smiles coming. Dreamcatcher, I may have to put you in timeout if I keep seeing please smile. Who is our Messiah, Sohail? Travel east much? I've never understood exactly what that means because I've traveled to the East past tense. I've been the worshipful master who sits in the East of a Masonic Lodge several times, including currently in Border Cities Lodge, number 554, where I'm currently the worshipful master. But I understand Freemasons just ask that more in a general sense. I'm not a fan of those types of questions, though. To me, if you're a Mason, just ask the other person, "Are you a Freemason?" And if he says yes, then you engage with him and do examination, because the answer to that question, right? It does not confirm someone's a Mason. You need to check dues cards. You need to check Grand Lodge recognition. You need to check all of that type of stuff. Um, Anarchy. You would not be hunted. No, you would not be hunted. Um, if you own. By the way, please hit like and subscribe. Um, you would not be hunted. You can wear a ring if you want, but that's just why I'm always telling Masons, just because somebody is wearing a ring or has a shirt with a square and compass, whatever it is, don't assume that they're Freemasons automatically. You should still, because I know Masonic rings that are sold in shops and bought by non-Masons, as well as pendants, necklaces, whatever else it might be, you know? Rob, sorry, you are incorrect. Um, the God that we Freemasons do not worship any one single God. Rather, each Freemason will worship a supreme being based on his understanding of the universe, or of the world, right? Or cultural, or educational, or family practices. So he may be Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Hindu, Sikh, um, Indigenous, First Nations. Um, I think, Rob, you've been reading a little bit too much Albert Pike, I'm sorry to say, and maybe misunderstanding what Albert Pike is saying. Um, so, Ying, Rob, Ying, I think, again, a little bit too much Mackey, a little bit too much Albert Pike, and a little bit of misunderstanding of what those are. But Freemasonry is not a religion. It does not worship a deity. Rather, individuals are welcome to worship the supreme being, again, of their understanding. And their understanding can be based on their family, their culture, their own interests, their own decisions, whatever it might be. Or CS, yes, Ancient Aliens as well. Mark, I don't think you're dumb. Um, well, Rob, it's always possible that I misunderstand things. I'm very not smart sometimes. However, I would hope, Rob, that my 20 years of experience as a Freemason, um, and having attended over 1,000 events in 5 different countries would give me some knowledge and insights and understanding of what Freemasonry is and why, for example, it's not a cult, and why it does not worship Lucifer, things like that. Anarchy, if you don't know anybody else, then what you have to do is find the Masonic Lodge that's closest to your area and give them a call or knock on the door, even, or write them a letter like I did, and just explain you're interested in learning more. Don't even start with the desire of joining Freemasonry. Just start with an interest in learning more about it, and you can kind of grow from there. Um, Thank you, Jay. That's very kind. To everyone watching this, by the way, if you're not a subscriber, please hit the like and subscribe button. Gene, when you say Scientology, Freemasonry and Scientology are not the same. They're not connected. I'm sure there are some Scientologists who are Freemasons because I understand Scientologists believe in a supreme being. I've never met any, so I can't say for sure. But Scientology is something I know very little about. Um, well, your morning star, I guess, can be whomever you so choose, Ying, but it is not connected to Freemasonry. Well, Creston, I'm not going to confirm nor deny anything about the initiation because you need to join if you want to learn more. I think, honestly, Rob, 10 years is enough to know the hierarchy of Freemasonry. Now, you can be a Mason for 100 years, 200 years, and you'll never actually know um, all of Freemason. You'll never actually know all of anything. You can be in martial arts for 100 years and never know everything about martial arts. Life is a process of constant learning and constantly learning more. So I don't know everything about Freemasonry with my approximately 20 years in, and I won't know everything about Freemasonry with my approximately 30 or 40 or 50 years in. But I can understand enough to understand some basic truths of it, which, Rob, I believe you do not understand yourself. I'm sorry to say. Having said that, you're still welcome to be here, and I appreciate you joining my stream. Um, Marshall, you don't understand anything. You're in a dangerous position. Um, well, Gothric, again, I'm not going to confirm nor deny anything about the initiation because I don't want to ruin it for anybody who wants to join. Part of the fun of joining is learning, right? I became a Mason in 2007, and if I had somebody tell me everything that would happen, I don't think I would have enjoyed it. What I will say is, at no point in the initiation, because this is a conspiracy theory that pops up a lot, at no point in the initiation did I ever, feel afraid or have to take any type of oaths that were contrary to my civic or religious duties. I just hope people will remember that. James, so it is not a pyramid scheme because one of the things about pyramid schemes to keep in mind is, to my knowledge, a pyramid scheme is constantly promising you to get rich, right? The whole point is you join the pyramid scheme and you'll make a lot of money. Freemasonry does not promise you will make money. If anybody who claims to be Freemason does promise you that you will make money, they are lying to you and they are scamming you more than likely. Um, What is a supreme being? So Freemasonry doesn't serve a supreme being, right? That's not, because Freemasonry is not a religion, James. Rather, what Freemasonry does is, for every member who joins, it encourages them to be faithful to the supreme being that they kind of worship or understand based on, again, their religious traditions, their cultural traditions, their family, their personal decisions. So they may serve with their understanding, they may be Muslim, Christian, Jewish, whatever it might be. Um, and yeah, it's one of those situations where we use terms like supreme being, which is an enlightenment term. I think some people mentioned they're a great architect, as this idea of a way to understand that every person in a Masonic lodge will have their own interpretation, understanding of the supreme being of their religious deity, which is, I think, the greatest and the strongest thing about being a Freemason or Freemasonry is the fact it welcomes men of so many different faiths. I think that's a really beautiful thing. Um, Not that DJ Megs, though make the meetings more interesting. Um, you could use the term creator as well. Sorry, James, but you are incorrect. I still hope you have the like and subscribe button. Um, I mean, a creator is a grand architect in some ways, you could argue. An architect, you could argue, is a kind of creator. Um, well, I mean, it's sorry, Anarchy of the West. I'm not quite sure I understand what you're asking. Individuals believe in their own supreme being. Do you mean they believe that they are the supreme being, which is not the case? Or do you mean their own? So, again, if I'm a Christian, my own supreme being is Jesus. If I'm a Muslim, my own supreme being is Allah. Do you mean it that way? In which case, it's the former. There is no group. Like Freemasonry does not have its own deity which you worship. Rather, each individual Mason comes to his own understanding of the supreme being, which is, I think, the best part of Freemasonry. Um, right? So some it may be Yahshua. I think that's the term for Jesus, if I'm not mistaken, Ying. I could be wrong. Again, others it's the Muslim faith, others it's the Jewish faith, others it's indigenous or First Nations. It really does depend on the individual Masons and their own personal beliefs. Um, it's just that you believe in a supreme being. Well, I mean, studying something is one thing, being part of something is another. It's very different, right? And don't forget, Prince Hall is one branch of Freemasonry, but it's not the exclusive branch. There are many branches of Freemasonry. Prince Hall is a great one. It's one of, I think, the best branches. I mean, it's just an incredible group of people. But that doesn't mean that your studies necessarily will outweigh my involvement. I mean, universal energy should be respected by everybody. Universal energy should be respect. I say respect by anyone is a form of universal energy, whether it's Freemasons or otherwise. Super fan, I consider this my work. So please like and subscribe and leave a comment, share the video, support my Patreon, all that good stuff. That's my serious answer. This is my job. I'm trying to turn this into my job. And so I could use your support in doing so. Like, comment, subscribe, share, etc., etc. That's an interesting question because it really depends on kind of where you are. So, for example, if you are a junior warden in a lodge, Anarchy, so there are specific offices in a lodge, and those offices are responsible for the administration of the lodge and different responsibilities therein. So, for example, the junior warden, one of his duties is to make sure there's refreshment either before or after a meeting, to make sure there's a meal either before or after the meeting. Um, Worship Master administers the lodge. Secretary sends out summonses. Um, offices have different duties. I would say in general, your duties towards Freemasonry are kind of described in your obligation. The primary one is to maintain the privacy of the rituals and the ceremonies as a way to maintain the brotherhood and the bonds of brotherhood between brethren. I'll take Kermit the Frog. I've heard worse things about my voice. Derek, please hit like and subscribe. Super fan. Thank you. I appreciate that. Um, I think you're very incorrect with a lot of that stuff, James. Prince Hall was the name of a Mason out of Boston who was denied entry into a lodge due to his race. He subsequently joined a different lodge out of the Grand Lodge of Ireland, and eventually formed Prince Hall Freemasonry in African Lodge Number One under the auspices of the Grand Lodge of England. I think this was all in 1884, something like that. Brianna, why would I be careful telling the secrets of the Masons? Um, you imply, I think, with that, Brianna, that I would be in danger, which I wouldn't be. The reason I choose not to share secrets of Masons is because of my own conscience, not because of any external threats that I would face, because I wouldn't face any. All the secrets are on the internet now, for better or worse. You just kind of have to accept that. But I still choose to act a certain way. Um, 1784. There we go. I was way off. I was 100 years off. I think I said 18. As Rondo said, 1784. Um, he is scared of death. I mean, I don't want to die, Mr. Keeps. That's very true. I definitely don't want to die. Um, so, sorry, I will go back in time and I realized I made my mistake. Yes, it was 1784. And another date as well. There are two dates. There is the date that Prince Hall first joined a lodge under the auspices of the Grand Lodge of Ireland. And then there was a date that he formed Prince Hall under the auspices of the Grand Lodge of England. Ron, if you remember what dates those were, I'd appreciate it if you let me know because I forget the 2 years. NA, well, you can do something. You can hit the like and subscribe button. James, the slave trade was definitely not fabricated. The slave trade, sadly, was very real. It wasn't exclusive to America either. Canada had it. Parts of Great Britain had it. To, I guess, to its credit, the British Empire ended the slave trade first under Queen Victoria. But no, it's a part of history. And unfortunately, it did affect, for example, Prince Hall. Again, the racism of the time meant that when Prince Hall first applied to join a Masonic lodge in Boston, he was denied. And so, on the basis of his race, right? And it's one of those things I have really mixed feelings about. I've talked about this before, because on the one hand, it's always a shame when anything happens or any decisions are made based on racism. However, I think by the same token, it did end up resulting in the creation of a really special Masonic order that is a very valuable part of the Masonic family. Wizard King. By the way, Wizard, I think you're new. Please hit like and subscribe. Um, NA's not wrong, by the way. I gotta disagree with your question a little bit. Or I think your question is, how do I put this? I think your question creates a contradiction where one is not necessary. Um, what I mean by that is when you say, is it really just a club or does it have a higher purpose? I don't think there's a contradiction between quote unquote just being a club and having a higher purpose. In fact, I think a club in and of itself can be a higher purpose. I think human beings, by our nature, desire to be part of groups, desire to have family connections and brotherhood. When Aristotle said, man is a political animal, what he meant ultimately was it is in our nature as humans to want to and desire to be part of groups. That is something within us. That is our nature, right? And so, whether it's kids on a schoolyard building a clubhouse, to adults joining a knitting club, to workers unionizing, whatever it is, at some level and some sense, it is fulfilling that higher calling, that higher purpose of wishing to be part of something larger than oneself. So I think you can be both a club and serve a higher purpose. Now, every Mason has to decide for himself or herself what it is that they want to get from Freemasonry. Ultimately, what I would say is the higher purpose of Freemasonry is to create a better world through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. But every Mason has to decide that for themselves. Oh, we got the riding the goat jokes in the chat. Do I look like Lord Farquaad? I mean, James, whether the craft prospers or doesn't, I have no idea. Nobody knows what the future will hold. Even if you have to kind of accept this whenever you try to do anything in life, there's a possibility that I will fail, right? There's absolutely the possibility that my efforts to grow Freemasonry will fail, but I'm still going to try anyways because I believe it's worth the effort. Um, Sometimes something that's worth the effort also means it's something that's going to fail. And who knows where Freemasonry will be 30, 40, 20 years from now. Right? I can't control that. All I can control is what I do to try as best as I can to create a better, stronger Masonic order. And if you fail, so be it. No, no, not at all, Wizard King. I think I understood what you meant, and I don't think you didn't word it terribly. I just think we need to make sure that we understand that there is a natural kind of purpose in being a group or a club in and of itself, and that desire for brotherhood and fellowship is incredibly important part of kind of not just Masonic life, but life in general. What it means to be here. So I do need to mention a couple things and take a few moments to say thank you. We had in the month of September a record number of um, views. The highest number of views we've ever had on this channel was in the month of September. So thank you so much for that. That was truly appreciated. Uh, I will say though, we did have 92% of the viewers were brand new and were watching recent content, which means people are not checking out my old content or my content from years ago. And I'm hoping we can change that a little bit. It's not these live streams are relatively new. I started them probably about 4 months ago regularly. But I've been doing interviews for much longer. So I'm going to be working on some different initiatives to encourage people to check out my older content. So follow me on social media, pay attention to that. Thank you, Trop, and thank you for being here. I truly appreciate your support. But yeah, I do have to say thank you to everybody who got me my record number of views in September. And I look forward to having even more in October. It's going to be really special. The other thing I want to mention is this weekend. Thank you, Derek. That's very kind. I mean, if you guys want to help me with that, the best way to do that is by sharing this stream, by subscribing, also supporting me on Patreon, all that good jazz. Patreon.com/Compass. You can join for free as well. It doesn't even have to cost you anything. But all of that stuff helps out big time. And now we're going to go back to this waiting. The other thing I want to mention is this weekend, people who know me, who watch my streams, will know that outside of being a Freemason, my other love is scary movies and horror movies. And this weekend, AMC Fear Fest, AMC Fear Fest is awesome, by the way, is having a Freddy versus Jason marathon. Good evening, Adder. Thank you for being here. And what I may be doing is doing some live streams. Definitely, I'll be posting about it on Twitter, on X, but I may be doing some live streams while I watch Fear Fest. And you can probably find it on my personal YouTube channel, youtube.com/Cameron Adamson. Mr. Gray. Okay, what did it say when you looked it up? I'm curious. Because people don't realize, like, everybody thinks that if I type something into Google and Mr. Gray types something into Google and Adder types something into Google, it all says the exact same thing. That is not the case, actually, right? So, Mr. Gray, just because you type it into to Google or look it up doesn't necessarily mean you're getting accurate information. But I'd be curious to know kind of what your thoughts are, or what you looked up and what it said. And Mr. Gray, please hit like and subscribe. I would truly appreciate it. Oh, Adder, very funny joke. When I see Adder, I think of Black Adder, from the Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean, Hugh Laurie thing. So that's what that makes me think of. But Adder, please hit like and subscribe. So, Mr. Gray, what did you see when you looked it up? And as always, please hit that like and subscribe button. But I'm curious what you come across. One thing I've been doing is going into AI chatbots, large language models, and asking the LLMs, what is Freemasonry, to see what they give as an answer. Because what I find is doing so really helps understand what people may be seeing. Because I do think AI is going to very soon overtake Google as the primary search engine um, for for search, basically, and for queries and for asking questions. I think LLMs like ChatGPT are probably going to overtake Google soon. So it's important that we know what they're saying about us. Yes, I can. I have a big nose, 713, but that shouldn't stop you from hitting the like and subscribe button. All right, Adder, time to put you in some timeout. And what is 713 steady? And by the way, we got the hearts. That makes me think it's Smokey. If it is, welcome. Thank you for being here. Everybody should be like Smokey and hit the heart buttons. What is going on, Smokey? Thank you for being here. I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you'll hit the like button and the subscribe button. Well, not you. You've already hit both. But I just say that in general. It's been a great stream. I don't know if you heard, Smokey. In September, I had a record number of views. So thank you so much to everybody who's helped make that possible. As I noted, this weekend, I may be doing some streams watching AMC Fear Fest. I'll definitely be putting stuff up on X. And thank you all for being here. Been a lot of great questions, so I really appreciate everybody with all the questions they've been asking. Thank you. And you're a part of that as well with, not just being here, but also supporting my other channels. So thank you so much for that. I have no idea. I don't think they've had it yet, to be honest. I'm curious what's trending on. I don't even see it trending on Twitter. So I have no idea. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment to jump in the chats. Hello, Dad. How's it going? I hope you're doing well. I'm still working on when I'm going to come back home. I might come back a little bit later than your birthday. I'll come back, I think, the end of October. No, Monk, it is not. It is not at all. It might be, conspiracy theorists thinking that is the case, but it is not. So, and I do not know what that means either, Thomas. I have no idea, Smokey. I don't think anybody knows what's happening. Okay, well then, no, I'm definitely not his dad because I don't know who he is, but I'm sure he's a great streamer. Welcome, Warsaw. There's a lot of Freemasonry actually in Warsaw, to my understanding and my knowledge. I should probably double check that, but I do believe there's a Masonic lodge that's fairly big in Warsaw, in Poland, right? Um, Onion Breath. Okay, yeah. And by the way, Onion Breath, even though you have Onion Breath, I still hope you'll like and subscribe. So, Mr. Keeps, what is new with you? What is happening in your world? Are you looking forward to the weekend? I hope that you are. I am. And like I said, I'm looking forward to it mostly because I have the awesome Possum Fear Fest to look forward to. The Blue Baron, I think Warsaw, no, Warsaw's in Poland. There is Freemasonry within Poland. Well, I believe the purpose of the rituals within Freemasonry is the same as the purpose of rituals anywhere else. It's to create the bond of brotherhood through shared experiences. Um, right? And so what that means is I can go anywhere in the world. I can go to Warsaw. Oh, go to the hospital, Smokey. Yes, go to the hospital. I can go to Warsaw. I can meet a Masonic brother there, and even though we may speak different languages, we may have completely different backgrounds, completely different history, completely different kind of cultures. He's been through similar things that I've been through. He's been through the same rituals I've been through, and we have a common understanding of the world. And so, ritual in general, I think the purpose of it is to create bonds of brotherhood through shared experiences. And then obviously it's a way to impart information on our brethren. So I definitely wouldn't say it's to scare people. However, um, I would say part of, it is to turn your heart or your conscience to what you're joining and the obligations and what that means. Um, Speaking of, well, Fear Fest again. Fear Fest is scary movie festival on AMC. It's like tradition. It's very nostalgic for me, Fear Fest, because it's one of those things where every year I do my best to make sure I would spend one weekend watching Fear Fest. Although this weekend maybe I'll do it while I'm streaming for my personal channel. Um, I would say equal rights and respect could be an aim in and of itself. I don't know if the aim needs to go further than that, but I mean, obviously, the aim of keeping the craft strong and growing it over time, Derek would be a major element of that. Go, Smokey, go to the hospital. Like I said, I think I might on my personal channel, or maybe on this one, but it'll be me watching Fear Fest. I'll definitely be posting a lot of stuff on YouTube and on X and on Twitter about it. I'm trying to be more, keep my posting going. So Freemasonry is for anyone, monk, so long as you believe in a supreme being, so long as you're over the age of, depends on the jurisdiction, let's say over the age of 18, in Ontario 21, and if you want to join the fraternal side of Freemasonry, that you're a man. But we have Freemasons of all different ethnicities and faiths and beliefs and ages and backgrounds, etc., etc. Well, I do not drink beer, so I could not enjoy that festival, but I could enjoy um, a um, a fear fest because I like being scared. I like scary movies, even though honestly, at this point, they don't really scare me anymore. To be perfectly frank, um, I just enjoy watching them. They're almost comforting in a way, right? Because I'm so used to them. Seeing some of these scary movies, especially the ones over the weekend, it's kind of like seeing old friends because I know them so well. So, but Monk, I hope you've hit the like and subscribe button. We're still just hanging out. Let me know any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. And I hope everybody's having a great day. And I think we're missing some. Hold on just one second. And there's also an exciting announcement I have to make. I'm just waiting on one thing before I mention it. So, but next week I should have a pretty exciting announcement as well. So pay attention for that. That I can't help you with, Dreamcatcher. I have no idea your brother's future relationship status. That is the hardest part I'm working on now, Mr. Keeps. I've got great views, but now it's about the retention. Right? The challenge is if people aren't really getting involved in the chat a lot, it's hard to keep that retention up. Although, again, I've also had not quite, but very close to record number of hours of watch time in September. My biggest issue now is one thing I want to see is people checking out some of my older content, not just my new stuff. Because that way, if I get my older content being seen by more people, it can help grow the channel because then you kind of have evergreen content. So I will be making some modifications to a couple videos as test runs and see how it works and see how it goes. But people come and go as well. Like I said, if you look at my chart, it's going in the right direction. Just takes time. And by the way, Mr. Keeps, you still haven't. Actually, I think maybe the link is even expired. I may have to send you a new link. I don't think you took advantage yet of the gifted tier 1 Patreon membership. So I still need to. The link may have expired if you didn't click on it yet, for the record. You may need to click on. I need to send you a new one. But let's give it a bit of time. Let's see who joins. In case you're curious, my current average view duration for this stream is 2 minutes, or sorry, 1 minute, 2 seconds. So people, stick around, keep chatting. Next week, I'm working on my topics of discussion. I have a couple ideas. I was thinking of doing a thing about official visits. I think that might be very relevant. I've talked about them a little bit in the past. Also, talking about I just submitted a paper. I don't want to talk about the paper I submitted, the award I submitted it for, but also it's this idea of gamification and Freemasonry, but more broadly, motivation and Freemasonry. It went well. I went there. It was good. I wasn't there for long, but I did enjoy being there. It was a blast. So, as always, I mean, where else can you get coffee for $2? Not just coffee, but a bottomless cup of coffee for $2. It's pretty great. Michael, how's it going? Thank you for joining. I think you might be new to this stream, Michael. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. Positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them, as well as anything else you want to talk about. Ant, same thing. Welcome, Ant Lambert. I hope you're doing well. Please hit that like and subscribe button and let me know if there's anything you want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry. Or honestly, anything else you want to talk about is fine too. These Friday streams are pretty loose. When I say loose, I mean it's just kind of whatever people want to discuss. I enjoy talking about. But Ant, Michael, thank you for joining. I do have one more meeting tonight. Then I get a little bit of a break. over the weekend, and then it's back to work the following week. So, um, but again, this weekend, Fear Fest. And what is Freemasonry? Freemasonry is a civic or social organization, a social club, if you will. Its origins come from the stonemason guilds of the 15th century. But think social club or social grouping, right? It's the oldest one. If you've ever seen, not to show off the guns or nothing, but if you've ever seen this symbol, that is the Masonic symbol. I work at this, Craven, so please support me on Patreon. Okay. Do you work at the nursing home? Or are you there visiting somebody? There's actually, interestingly enough, a lot of Masonic nursing homes that exist. Um, that's right, Mr. Keeps. Um, the gun show. In Alma, Michigan, there's a really amazing Masonic family center. In oh my gosh, in Texas, there's a Texas Masonic retirement community. So there's a lot of Ohio has one. There's a lot of great Masonic homes for the aged. Oh my gosh, 1912. Wait, so he's 100 and I that wow, that is very cool. But thank you for that. That's very kind, Craven. And to the person you're watching it with, congratulate. I mean, I get exhausted, and I'm 43, so I can only imagine how he's feeling. So tell him thank you so much for being here as well. And 32, um, 32nd degree is awesome. That's right, Mr. Keeps. This is, I should just show my muscles. I'm going to get all the people watching it at that point. You know what to say? That seems a little bit unlikely, but I mean, oldest person alive. The oldest person in 2025 is Ethel Caterham from the United Kingdom, who is 116 years old. Born on, this is from Google, take it for what it's worth. You know what's interesting about that, Mr. Keeps? I went to the Grand Lodge of Missouri's annual communication, and during the annual communication, the Grand Master held up a coin that he had created, and it was a coin for 100 years of service. And he said, with the way life expectancy is increasing, it is very likely that at some point we will have a Mason who has served for 100 years, which would mean they are 118 years of age, because in Missouri you need to be 18 or plus to join. So, um, I do think we may get to a point where, I mean, in theory, this gentleman could, who's 113, right? We'll get to a point where there's been a Mason who has been a Mason for 100 years. Stevie, you joined Freemasonry or you joined my channel? Either way, thank you for being here. I am from Canada, born in Winnipeg, now live in Windsor. Windsor, Ontario. I love Canada, greatest country in the world. Partially because we have the greatest neighbors in the world, on a side note. I think money doesn't, but wealth can come from the soul. I think truly wealthy people are, to a certain extent, rich from their soul, more so than anything else. Though that's kind of metaphorical. Though there's some Masonic ideals within that. So it was a scam. I'm pretty sure Craven, he did not say that. I'm gonna have to disagree with that one. My suspicion now is maybe you want us to find Christ yourself and are saying that it was this person who did it. So it's a scam. Well, you will never be recommended for Freemasonry necessarily at the start. You need to approach them first, intellectual designs, and express an interest, and then you can be sponsored. But that's a different situation. Either way, Craven, um, you can be both a Mason and a Shrine. Well, every Shriner is a Mason. You're a Shriner. You become a Mason first, then you become a Shriner. All right, Craven. I do appreciate being here very much, but I think I'm gonna put you in a little bit of a timeout for a second. I don't like to put people in timeouts, but I think that this person does not exist. All right, guys, welcome. Thank you for being here. Please, as always, jump in the chat, say hello, hit that like and subscribe button, and let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. These Friday streams are just us chatting about anything. Parasitic operating system. Uh, you could argue that all of us in some ways serve masters, whatever they may be. Although hopefully we are also in various, you know, how do I want to put this? Ultimately, I think hopefully we can all serve the ultimate goal of being good to one another and making the world a better place. Even though at an individual level and time there are different masters we have to serve, whether it even sometimes it can be even our biological functions, right? If we get hungry and we need to eat, we're going to serve that feeling. So, Slick Rick is back. Welcome back, Slick Rick. Once again, not a fan of Freemasonry, I know, but thank you for being here. Welcome, Scott. Thank you for being here. I think you're new to the stream, right? I don't know if I've seen you before. There's a few different reasons. I believe in a supreme being, Ant, right, which is the Masonic term. When you say why do people associate the Masons with conspiracy theories, there's a few different reasons. The first is the private nature of our ceremonies does sometimes make it a I do not sleep holy. It makes it a easy target for conspiracy theorists, right? Also, in World War II or before that in Germany, Hitler encouraged conspiracy theories about Freemasonry, which did make their way somewhat into the mainstream. And that kind of stuck around a little bit. And also, when people are struggling within their lives, they very often will look for easy scapegoats or easy ways to explain things. And unfortunately, Freemasonry very often has been found an adequate or useful stand-in for things people don't understand. All right, Richard Attenborough, time to time to put you in a timeout. 11 hours. Good for you, Mr. Keeps. I know you work really, really hard, so good for you for getting some well-needed rest. They say, I've heard people say that in terms of the most important, what's the word I'm looking for? The most important health benefits or the most important thing you do for your health that people are overlooking is get enough sleep. And I believe it. I believe it to be the case. I mean, and I'm a hypocrite on this. I don't get near enough sleep. But yeah, that is something I'm working on. This weekend, it's going to be a lot of sleep. Super dab. I think that's what they say anyways. So the ruling elite, first of all, Slick, I have to disagree with you in a couple areas. First, I don't believe that there's such a thing as ruling elite. I think there are different ruling classes and parties within different countries, but I don't think they have a global reach because their interests are too contradictory to be able to work together. And I can tell you, I know very few politicians who are Freemasons. In my experience, less than 1% of the politicians I know are Freemasons, or Freemasons are politicians. So it's a very small number, and they certainly don't have any political influence or power. My channel is about Freemasonry, Nam. Thank you for being here. Please hit like and subscribe. Yes, that is a common thing, Scott. Many Masons are buried in their apron. It's part of a Masonic service. When I pass away, I hope to be buried in my apron. Um, I mean, I'm not trying to fool God, Slick Rick, nor the Supreme Being. I have no wish to hide my Masonic obligations nor my Masonic rituals from the Supreme Being or God, pick your term. I choose not to share them with non-Masons because I want to maintain the bonds of brotherhood between myself and my brothers. But any supernatural, God or anything that sees the rituals, good for him. I hope he does know exactly what the oaths and obligations and rituals of Freemasonry are. Um, I did know that, Edgar, and that's very funny. Freemasonry, no, is a fraternal organization or a civic or social club. There is also a women's Freemasonry group, which you need to keep in mind, but it's a social club or social group that evolved from stonemason guilds of the 15th century or the 16th century. You do not, B1 Trucker. You do not. That is a joke and a myth. That kind of developed in various circles, and even Freemasons have fun with it. When I was first joining, one of the jokes that you'd hear before you became a Mason was, you need to learn how to ride a goat or get the goat ready. Like while you're waiting for your initiation, you hear people saying that in the other rooms as a way to kind of mess with you. But no, there is no riding of a goat. And honestly, Naomi, or Nam, sorry, it's interesting you say in a nutshell for dummies because actually there is a wonderful book called Freemasonry for Dummies written by Chris Hodap, which I hope you'll check out. You can purchase it and it explains Freemasonry very well. Yes, ethnic minorities are allowed. You need to be, for the fraternal side of it, you need to be a man. You need to be over the appropriate age. It's usually 18. And you need to believe in a supreme being. But there are Masons who are white, black, from India, indigenous, Asian, as well as ages, languages, Spanish, political beliefs, all that stuff. You do not need to have a high net worth. There's usually costs associated with being a Freemason. Usually, it's between $100 $200 per year, and there's usually a one-time payment of $500 for initiation fee. So it does cost money, but relatively speaking, it's certainly less than almost anywhere else. The women are Eastern Star. There's also the Order of Women Freemasons. So I do not believe I'm superior to anyone, Slick Rick. I try my best to be superior to myself, but that's about it. That's as far as it goes. So we do not believe we're superior to anyone else. Certainly, I don't believe I'm superior to anyone on this stream, and I appreciate everybody who is here very, very much. Even Super Dad, when you say that, no, there are females who are part of the Masonic family. There is, thank you, Scott. There's Order of Women Freemason, there's Eastern Star, and there's Rainbow, which is for young girls. I mean, I don't think I'm a white supremacist. I don't want to be a white supremacist. I think all are welcome. Um, well, so I could not attend a meeting of the Order of Women Freemasons, and they cannot attend one of my meetings. So they cannot take part in my rituals, nor could I take part in theirs. However, I do consider them part of the Masonic family. It is part of, so Scientology, I don't know much about it. It is not part of Freemasonry. There may be Scientologists who join Freemasonry. My understanding, my very limited understanding of Scientology, is they believe in a supreme being. As such, I believe they could join, but I don't know enough about it to speak to it, Nam. By the way, Nam, I hope you've hit that like and subscribe button. If not yet, please do so. So we do not seek a one world government, Slick Rick. I'm very sorry to tell you that. I know many people believe that to be the case, but we do not seek a one world government. In fact, we do not even seek a one world Masonic government. Freemasonry is jurisdictional, which means the governing body in Ontario is different than the governing body in um, Manitoba. Feel free to scroll away, B1 Trucker, but hit the like and subscribe button first. Good afternoon, Sandra. How's it going? I hope that you're doing well. But that is one of the bigger mistakes about Freemasonry, this idea that we desire or we have a one world government, which is not the case, nor is it a desire of Freemasonry. Thank you. That's very kind of you. I'm sorry I can't pronounce your name. It looks like it's in Greek. Please hit the like and subscribe button for my beautiful eyes. They may, again, Super Dab. I know very little about Scientology. So my general rule of thumb has always been whatever people believe that helps make the world a better place or helps them get through the world, I tend to be very supportive of it. Obviously, I'm not supportive of blackmail. So we can't in Ontario, to my knowledge, unless they've changed that. But in England, I know that you can. Eastern Star, you can as well. Fair enough, B1 Trucker. Then I still appreciate you being here nonetheless. Okay. No, I have a friend who got sucked into it. I mean, like I said, I know very little about it. It's decentralized, Nam. It's decentralized amongst various jurisdictions. In the States, it tends to be state by state, as well as Washington, D.C. In Canada, it's province by province. In Europe, it tends to be more by country. Um, no worries, B1. I appreciate the trolling. I appreciate you being here. Shemshu, welcome. Thank you for being here. Food allergies are not real. I think they are real, Crunch Daniels. I believe that they are real. So please, nobody take advice from Crunch Daniels. I don't want anybody getting a food allergy and getting sick. I'm sorry, Trope. Maybe it was just the lodge. Maybe you want to try again later. Or if, I mean, Freemasonry is not for everyone, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. Um, Not many. I honestly think we should learn more about it, to be honest. I think we as Freemasons, one of our mistakes is we're not spending enough time learning more about our operative roots, including stonework and stonemasonry. No, Nam, every Freemason will have his own view on issues such as abortion, right? There's 850,000 Masons in the States approximately, so there'll be 850,000 different views on abortion. Um, or thereabouts. But yeah, it's uh yeah, I mean there are no real political, like one thing about Freemasonry is we're actually not allowed to discuss politics or religion in our lodges during meeting times. So there are a lot of different political ideologies and views represented within Freemasonry. Low bubble, I'll I'll take it, retired cop. Please hit like and subscribe in honor of retired cops. I don't disagree, Rondo. I mean, I think it's intuitive. You would think we would, again, coming from the stonemason guilds. But the fact that we don't, um, I think it'd behoove us to learn a little bit about those operative roots. Um, Send me something, Super Dab. I'll take it. I'll take it happily. Hopefully never, Crunch. Hopefully never. I don't want any type of war, civil or otherwise. I mean, one day if I get enough maybe support through Patreon, people will I'll be able to get a studio. So please support on Patreon. Just $3 a month. And you can support me there. Imagination Masons. Is that like Imagine Dragons? Stephanie Nivens, hello. I think you've been on the stream before, Stephanie. Your name sounds familiar. If not, welcome. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. Positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. And thank you so much for being here as always. I think you sent me a message through Instagram, right? If I recall correctly. No worries, Rhonda. I appreciate being here. Well, so Freemasons do, like Freemasonry does not worship anyone. Um, Freemasons each will worship a supreme being, but it's their decision, right? So we have Masons who are Christian, Catholic, Protestant. We have Masons who are Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, Indigenous or First Nations, um, all the different types, Abrahamic religions, Hindu, Sikh, but there is no Masonic worship, if that makes sense. Oh, I thought you meant imagination. I thought you were doing a play on Imagine Dragons, and I just couldn't figure it out. In fairness, it's Friday stream. This is always my stream where, I'm the most tired. I was just hanging out and chatting. No Catholics can be Freemasons. Now, the church will have a problem with it if a Catholic joins or a member of their church, but we as Freemasons don't, and I know many Catholic Freemasons. So that's a church issue. Oh, I think it's very possible, Nathan. I think that is an example of why Freemasonry is so important in 2025, because we so often think that we cannot discuss anything but um, politics, which is not the case. I think it is possible for humans to get together, and I know you're probably being a little bit sarcastic, Nathan, but I do think what you said does represent kind of an issue in society, which is this belief that politics is the most important thing and there's nothing else that can be discussed. And I don't think that's the case. I mean, some Freemasons are rich, but most are not. I'd say most are middle class or average. Um, but to be a Freemason does not guarantee that you either are rich or will become rich. And if anybody suggests it, then they are scamming you almost certainly. Again, there's no there's no hello, Courtney. There's no single agreement on that. I can tell you what I believe to be the main issue faced by Freemasons, which is a lack of engagement by the membership, specifically officers. It's not that we have too few members, though we do. It's it's rather that the members we have are not attending regularly. Um, and when you don't have members attending regularly, it means more work for everybody else. Um, I mean, it's. I don't think it's because of the secrecy, Super Dad. Because if um, if it was a secrecy issue, then you would just have fewer and fewer people joining exclusively. If you've already joined and you're choosing not to come back regularly, then the issue isn't the secrecy, it's something else. Something about Freemasonry is not capturing your desire to show up. Um, there you go. Well, yeah, so Rondo, that's interesting. There was a little bit of a debate amongst Freemasonry as to whether he was truly a Freemason or not, because there's a great debate in Freemasonry as to whether a Freemason can be quote unquote made at sight. A lot of people dispute that as a possibility. I personally view him as a Freemason. Also, I had heard that he ended up giving back the membership. I don't know if that's true or not, but I view him as a Freemason as of right now. And the Catholic Church may have an issue with it. I don't know if anybody ever talked to him about it. I suspect they're probably just going to let this, let sleeping dogs lie type of thing. I don't think they're clowns. I think people are trying their best. It's just challenging, right? I try to keep this as cynical. I have enough cynicism in my real life. I try to keep this stream a cynical free zone. Though admittedly, cynicism can be a natural, or even pessimism can be what's the word? A natural kind of desire or direction when you see some of the problems that exist in the world. But I mean, again, to what extent is that actually practiced? To what extent is, because I know many, well, not many, but I know several Catholic Freemasons. To my knowledge, none of them are, um, all of them are receiving communion. I don't know if it's a matter of they didn't tell the Catholic Church or the Catholic Church does, it's one of those things where I don't know to what extent that's actually practiced versus, or actually enforced versus just said. Um, I think Carney's doing all right. I voted for him, so we'll see. But again, every Mason has their own political ideas and their own political opinions. Well, there's always controversy. There's controversy. There's controversy. 7 days a week and twice on Sundays. So there's controversy in Freemasonry. There's controversy in everything. That's just kind of human nature. Is to almost desire controversy, I think. I think I'm more on your side of that as well. Super dab. However, that's just my own personal opinion. So you kind of take that for whatever it's worth. We're going to give it a bit more time. We're going to see who else joins. I wouldn't go that far either. Again, we try to keep this a non-cynical chat. But we'll see. I mean, it's not quite a majority, but it's close enough that I suspect we won't have another election for 4 years, give or take. So, um, what 2029, I guess it would be, which is crazy to think 2029. By the way, that's nuts. No, Nathan, no reason to be needlessly cynical or pessimistic about things, right? Well, I mean, I think things are rough enough in the States right now that certainly, comparatively speaking, our prices are going down. Prices are going up in the States. Actually, I don't know if our prices are going down in Canada. I know prices are going up in the States. Prices in Canada, October 2025. Let's see. Well, coffee is going up here, I guess, and that annoys me because I love coffee. Honestly, Nam, I don't like to think about it in terms of what are the benefits. Because when people ask me that now, I always say there are no benefits. Because to be a Freemason, you should be joining not for benefits, but rather the opportunity to make the world a better place, which is, I think, a benefit, right? You get the opportunity to make the world a better place through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. You're placed in a privileged position to help those people around you, which I think is incredibly valuable. Um, Beyond that, though, I do think you meet people you would not otherwise meet. You get to work on skills like running a meeting, memorization. Um, you're forced in a position where you have to hang out with people of different political and religious beliefs and find a way to build together. You can potentially have a safety net if, heaven forbid, you lose your job and you need benevolence assistance. And you get the benefits of socializing, and you get to fulfill that desire we all have on a certain level to want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Um, Everybody's welcome, GOP, non-GOP, on this stream. But Matt, please hit the like and subscribe button. I appreciate you being here. Well, there's different types of campaigning skills. I used to actually work for Stephen Harper. I was an intern in his office back in the day, and I think the type of campaigning that was so successful for the conservatives in the mid 2000s in the early and mid 2000s, I should say, from if I recall correctly, 2009 to 2017 or so. I don't know if that's going to be as successful in 2025. Um, you definitely don't want that, Rizzo, because I'm missing my legs. Do Freemasons debate gun control? I mean, Freemasons may debate. Well, I'm kind of streaming right now, Michelle, so I can't really give you an answer at the moment because I'm streaming on my phone. Um, do Freemasons? I mean, Freemasons will have interpersonal debates all the time, right? But they're not going to debate it in lodge because that's a political issue. They may debate it on their own time amongst themselves or online or something like that. However, they will not debate. They are not going to debate. Um, they will not debate it in lodge, any political issues. Michelle, yes, still a 6:30 dinner, as said this morning. Um, so liberal doesn't mean free. That's true. Liberal has a few different definitions, right? Oftentimes, what it can mean is, to be um, not excessive per se, but a larger breadth or width than perhaps the average. So liberal seasoning, to season something liberally means to put more seasoning on it than if I were to say to season conservatively, which is to put less on it. But liberal can also mean just generally open or welcoming, including welcoming perhaps to change, which does not mean the same thing as civil. As conservative, which tends to mean perhaps more hesitant towards change, or in some ways more illiberal or less welcoming of change, which is not always a bad thing. Not all change is good, to keep that in mind. Even the extent to which, not in terms of politics, but in terms of philosophy, the extent to which Freemasonry should be liberal versus conservative in its approach to changes and challenges is a debate amongst Freemasons. You say things like crime in the street, Mr. Keeps. I wheel up and down the street every day, sometimes at 4 in the morning, I won't tell you what I'm doing at 4 in the morning. You can decide that for yourself. But I don't see, I've never been scared or worried about crime. I'm not saying crime doesn't happen, but I feel like you are living in perhaps a different, maybe a somewhat of a different situation than I am because I don't see crime rampant on the streets. Um, Change can often lead to improvements. Personal anecdotes are not the worst type of evidence, um, so long as you have a broad base of experiences on which to rely. If I go out once and don't see any crime, then that's one thing. If I go out regularly and don't see crime, that's a different story. Um, I will not say Nam. Michelle has to say it for himself because one thing in Freemasonry is people have to say whether they are or not. Um, I mean, it's interesting. Historically speaking, Freemasonry was so in the 17th and 18th centuries, Freemasonry tended to be more viewed as a left wing group and organization, primarily for its heavy focus on democracy as kind of the best form of government, which was obviously antithetical to the idea of monarchy and more right wing conservative views, which put the emphasis more on non democratic forms of government, like monarchies, dictatorships, theologies, things like that, theocracies. Then in the 1950s and 60s, Freemasonry tended to be more viewed as right wing in its approach, but Freemasonry is neither left wing nor right wing. It is not a political organization in that sense. It can have conservative or liberal ideas in terms of how it approaches things. Liberal with change, conservative with change, but that's not the same as, let's say, supporting the liberal government or the conservative government. Um, maybe he is, maybe he's not. Somebody asked you, Michelle, if you're a Freemason. Um, I'll let you answer. But not everybody on this stream are Freemasons. In fact, most are not. Um, Rondo's not wrong. It wasn't built by liberal ideas of enlightenment, but it was built upon um, the liberal idea. Like the enlightenment ideas definitely heavily influenced Freemasonry and really set the tone for what it would be for the next 300 and something years. And a lot of those Enlightenment era values still exist within Freemasonry. What I've always said is there's kind of two great Enlightenment era um, experiments that exist in 2025. The first is America. The second is Freemasonry. And both are struggling in different ways at the moment. So we'll see how much longer the experiments last for. But both are definitely struggling. I definitely don't believe that, Nathan. I tend not to believe in this idea of oligarchies beyond the political parties. There you go. Michelle is a proud Freemason, and I'm proud to call him a brother. Um, Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. It's been a fun stream. 2 hours and 25 minutes in. Like I was saying, I had a record number of views in September. Let's hope I can keep that record going for October. To a large extent, that's true, Rondo. Enlightenment. I wouldn't say that exclusive because the idea of the nation state, I mean, you could argue it goes back to ancient Greece in some ways with the different city states, which were kind of miniature versions of nation states. But certainly like Garibaldi, Garibaldi in Italy, Rizal in the Philippines, I can't think of his name now, but the first president of Turkey, they all kind of took these Enlightenment ideas of the modern nation state and Freemasonry ideals therein and applied them to the creation of these states. Hello, Gupinder. Welcome back. Uh, Great, Matt. You'd be welcome to consider joining. I mean, the first step along that journey is to contact your Masonic lodge that's close and get in touch with them. Write a letter, give a phone call. You kind of go from there. Um, but the purpose of this stream, just for the record, is not to encourage, is neither to encourage nor to discourage people from joining. Rather, it's just to talk about what I love about Freemasonry, give my opinions on it, and then let people form their own decisions. Oh my gosh. Well, so by the way, Tropilum, you can't see this because for some reason YouTube hid it, but he said, nation means what without nationality? See, I disagree with you, Tropolin. I think the melting pot is the best type of nation state. I think diversity is a strength, and one of the things I most admire about Canada is our welcoming of different peoples and beliefs and cultures and customs. I think that makes it a better country. Government. Oh, sorry. Who are famous Freemasons, past or present? Oh my gosh. George Washington, Ben Franklin, Winston Churchill, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Brad Paisley, Nat King Cole, Shaquille O'Neal, Joseph Brandt, Louis Armstrong, if I recall correctly, but I could be mistaken on that one. Um, uh, Harley Race, if you love professional wrestling. Um, who else? I feel like I mean, there's a bunch. John Wayne. Um, uh, Me. I'm YouTube famous. So there's been a bunch throughout history. As we have fewer and fewer Freemasons, as a consequence, we have fewer and fewer famous Freemasons. He was made a Freemason on site, one of potentially only two that is kind of well recognized as being a Mason on site. The other one is Joe Biden, potentially. There's been other Masons made on site, but it's very rare. Um, Buzz Aldrin, second man to land on the moon. That's kind of a rough list I got. Louis Armstrong was. I thought he was. Frank Freemason. A Freemason is a member of a Masonic lodge. Freemasonry refers to a civic or social group that evolved from stonemason guilds of the 15th and 16th centuries. All right, GAN, time to put you in a timeout. To everybody watching this, and Frank, please hit the like and subscribe button. I would truly appreciate it. And let me know if you have any thoughts. We are definitely not rich or famous, most of us. There are obviously rich and famous Freemasons, but it's rare. There's very few. Lionel Richie, another one. Hopefully, if Freemasonry grows in future, we can get more famous Freemasons back, which I think can help the chat altogether. Even, Steve Wozniak of Apple Computers was himself a Freemason. So, another famous example of that. The co-founder of Apple Computers. Well, Bill Clinton was actually a member of DeMolay. DeMolay is a youth group. So he was never made a Mason, but he was part of a youth group for Freemasonry. Hillary Clinton was never, to my knowledge, a member of the Order of Women Freemasons or anything else. That is not the case. Mohammed, if I recall correctly, that was your name. It actually came from stonemason guilds of Europe. And it did not also come from the Bohemian Grove. That's a separate thing altogether. No, Al Gore was not, to my knowledge. Control, Illuminati, really, they don't exist anymore. It was founded in 1777. Um, Sorry, joking about. I don't know if I missed something, Nathan. Oh, okay. To my knowledge, no, Trump is not a Freemason. I don't believe that he is. Um, it's one of those things where so many people believe that Bohemian Grove relates to Freemasonry. I always have to remind people it does not, which I don't mind because it's important to me to remind people of these things. We're gonna give it a bit more time. We're gonna see who else Jones. We're gonna see who else joins. To my knowledge, no. Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger are not Freemasons. I've looked up in the past lists of famous Freemasons. I don't recall ever seeing their names on there. So, to my understanding, they are not themselves Freemasons. Now, it's always possible I'm wrong or incorrect, but um, no, you cannot, Piper, but you can hit the like and subscribe button. There's not a directory of individual Freemasons, right? Freemasonry, the purpose of it is, right? One of the rules is I can talk about me being a Freemason, but we're not going to publicly list our members. It's up to each individual, out of respect for privacy, for them to mention it or not mention it. They get the choice, as they should. But there is a directory of Grand Lodges, which every lodge gets. So if somebody comes from Texas, I know that there's a Grand Lodge of Texas because it's in a directory. Um, is Gonzalez from Gonzalez, Mexico, or Gonzalez, Texas? Is that to what you're referring? Because I've been to Gonzalez, Texas for some really fun events. Uh, no chance. Please hit like and subscribe. I do not believe the United Kingdom is being invaded. I think invasion is quite a harsh word. It seems like, but I think Stevie England may agree with you. I hope Stevie England also hits the like and subscribe button. I hope they're doing well. Tell them I say hello. Tell them I apologize if I was a pain in the butt. Being, I'm sure teaching me was not easy, so I hope you apologized on my behalf. Um, Tropalum, he was. We're here talking about stonemasons, but carpentry is a craft as well. So there's obviously a connection in craftsmen between carpentry, stonemasonry, and all the different crafts that exist. Actually, I was considering maybe going to the UK because my family's from there, and I still have family there, and I got to visit them at some point. And my suspicion is I'll be okay. Like I've traveled to so many places that I was told were dangerous, only to find out that they are not dangerous. It makes me highly question people who say things like that. Chicago, Detroit, Philippines, Rio. Never been scared or concerned. And if that happens to me when I'm there, I guess so be it. I'm not particularly worried about it. But like I said, I have no plans right now per se, but I do want to get back to United Kingdom to visit some family. I am definitely not tough. I'm a wuss, but I try not to live my life in fear. I don't want to get deported, Russell. I'm from Canada. Kurt Angle, I love Kurt Angle. One of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. I don't think he was. He was the Unabomber, right? I don't believe so, but I could be wrong. Let me check. Curious now. Every group, including Freemasonry, has some bad apples. It's not something that I'm not going to pretend that just because somebody did something bad doesn't mean that it's impossible that they were Freemason. Um, no indication that he was a Freemason. Well, Repairaholic, now it seems like it'd be even more fun to be in the UK, but please hit the like and subscribe button. I'd very much appreciate it. Well, Trump is wrong. Chicago's awesome. I love it there. Leave Chicago alone. It's one of the best places I've ever visited. It is, in fact, when I talk about my favorite town and favorite city or whatever it is, it's Glenview, Illinois and Chicago, Illinois. They are, and humans are imperfect. That is the nature of life, right? There's various degrees of imperfect. I'm imperfect, but I'm not as imperfect as, let's say, a Ted Kaczynski, but um, that's kind of the nature of it, right? Which is hopefully, if you follow the rules, you can be a good person within Freemasonry, or if you follow the philosophical ideas, but not everybody's going to, and not everybody's going to interpret those ideas the same way. Um, I do not like that song, Control, but I do like music in general. Without music, life would be a mistake, as Nietzsche said. And I think Nietzsche is right. Well, Vladimir, welcome to the stream. I feel like you shouldn't be here because you should be very busy dealing with your war in Ukraine. I do hope you will not be too busy to hit the like and subscribe button. And just so you know, Freemasonry does exist in Russia, and it's wonderful to see it there. I think Freemasonry should be all around the world. The more places it is, the better it is for the world, including within Russia. Um, I mean, you should not be taking a break from affairs of the state because you have a lot of affairs to deal with at the moment. I don't believe you have time to take a break. I think you're making a horrible mistake taking a break. I'm glad, Nam. I'm glad you learned something, and I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. It's unfortunate that people have those ideas of Freemasonry, but um, I'm still very happy that you're here and you learned something. So that's not, unless something's changed in the last 6 months. As of 6 months ago, when I did a bit of research on this, Freemasonry was alive and well in Russia. Now, it was banned under the Soviet Union from the Soviet Revolution to about 1995 when it came back. Freemasonry in Russia and Eastern Europe is fascinating because it's both very old and very new. Because it did make its way to Russia and like that Europe and Soviet bloc countries in the 17th century and had a very decent run. But then when the Soviet Union took over, it was banned only to come back in the 90s. So you have like lodges that are both feel very old because they have some recognition of the 17th century lodges, but also very new because they just formed again in the 1990s. Yo, welcome. You're welcome to say that as well. I am a member of a lodge in actually Israel, but that doesn't mean I don't support the people of Palestine and have very significant concerns about the actions being taken by the government of Israel. Not the people, but the government. I mean, I can't say I've been to every part of Chicago, but I've been to enough parts of it that, again, I'm not going to pretend that there aren't problems in every city, including in Windsor and Chicago. But this view of it that some people seem to have of some type of war zone, that's never been my experience. It's funny, I was looking at a picture of, or a video on the news. I think it was ABC or CNN. It was Donald Trump. It was a whole bunch of military personnel. I think they were military personnel, either that or ICE um, forces who were, there was like 20 of them. And they were all standing around on this street, and I recognized where they were standing. I'd been on that same street dozens of times, at all hours of the day and night. At no point did I ever feel unsafe. So it's like I just don't get it. I think it seems to be more like a thing about optics as opposed to reality. I mean, I oppose any violent action. So, the extent that Antifa was engaged in violence, I oppose it. Um, I don't know how much Antifa is actually a quote unquote legitimate, like an actual controlled organization that has leadership versus random people getting together to express opinion. Like, it doesn't seem to be an organization which has like a leadership structure. It seemed to be just people just jump in and out of it as they go. Well, but that's true of Windsor as well, right? But that doesn't mean the entire thing is unsafe just because portions of it are unsafe at night. I have no idea what that means, see Avi, but I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. I think it started in Canada. I remember Red Shirt Fridays. I remember Red Fridays. But enjoy the Legion. Dad, thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Please hit that, anybody who's just joining, hit that like and subscribe button. And thank you all for being here. And I'm going to give it a bit more time. I'm going to see who else joins. We'll be ending this stream probably shortly. I'll be back next week. We'll have more specific topics and pay attention to my socials. You may see me talking about some specific, talking about AMC Fear Fest and hanging out and doing that this weekend for something different. I'll take it, Go Vined. In honor of John Cena, hit the like and subscribe button. I assume you're talking about drug addicts, and yeah, it's unfortunate. I see them here in Windsor as well. I think a lot of times when people talk about crime, they're actually not talking about crime per se. They're talking about like it's not a it's I mean the consumption of the substance is a crime, but to just be wandering aimlessly down the street or to be sleeping on the street is not necessarily a crime. It might be a civil infraction or a bylaw infraction. It can become criminal if it's harassment, but that's not, when people talk about crime, I think they're talking more about standard of living issues as opposed to actual criminal code offenses. Um, so that is not the case, Mohammed. It was definitely not designed by Freemasons, nor have any wars been designed by Freemasons, except the Great War about whether green beans taste good or not. Oh my gosh. So this is and Govin, please like and subscribe. This is my opinion. I was a probation officer for um, 5 years. I worked in jail for 5 years. I had a lot of homeless clients. Yes, I actually got a message from them. I got to respond to it. Um, Honestly, I think there is no perfect solution to homelessness. There's always going to be a certain amount of homelessness, unfortunately, because people can't always. There'll always be people making negative choices, but I think we can significantly reduce it. And I think the way to do that is to. I'm a big fan of affordable, like building affordable tiny homes, which I would live in a tiny home. They look actually great. Basically, you build those, you put people in them free of charge, and you also give them access to not just free medical care, but free substance use counseling and free addiction services or mental health services, and you set them up with resume and job skills. So you basically spend a lot of money over a long period of time, and sooner or later, the homeless problem will significantly drop. I know a lot of people will say that's unfair because why do homeless people get all these benefits for free when Working people don't. However, it benefits no one to have homeless people on the street. And if you don't want to do that, your only other option is involuntary treatment or involuntary lockup in mental health or jail, both of which also end up costing the taxpayer lots of money. And aside from satiating some type of desire for vengeance, don't actually resolve any problems. Um, I would love to live in a pod. Like, I think tiny homes really are, like, I'm a big believer in trying to reduce our impact. I think I see all these McMansions, and it's like you don't need them. I would bet money most of the people living in these McMansions are not actually, don't actually spend time in half the rooms. Live in a tiny home. It's better for the environment, probably. Not really, because we didn't. I mean, gangs exist in Windsor. Obviously, gangs exist everywhere. But I never really had a ton of people coming to me who were members of criminal organizations or gangs. At least not formally. Informally, they may have been hangers on. I remember having somebody who said he was kind of a hanger on with the Hells Angels, but never patched in. It never really came up much in my experience. I do think we have a carbon issue. I don't know how significant it is, but as a general rule, my theory on that has always been we should just try to consume less and try to use less. That just seems like a healthy approach. Even if global warming wasn't a concern one way or the other, like why take up 10,000 square feet when you can take up 1,000 square feet or whatever it is, or 100 square feet, you know? I think there's a morality to being parsimonious. Hello, Spirit. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining. I don't know if you heard, Spirit, but I have had in September the greatest number or highest number of viewers or views. So I think that's wonderful. I don't know how big they are. I can't say. Like I said, there's gang unit members and stuff in the police that would know more than I did. It never really came up much for me. Thank you, Dan. That's very kind of you. Please hit like and subscribe. I am honored to like John Cena because he's my favorite professional wrestler. Well, because Rondo, oftentimes it was Freemasons founding some of these other organizations because, I mean, Freemasonry is so ubiquitous, it was kind of a natural consequence. So, for example, the Future Farmers of America was founded by four Freemasons who recognized a problem with young men in Virginia not becoming farmers, but moving to the city and wanted to encourage more farming. And they just happened to be Freemasons. So when they developed the Future Farmers, they kind of borrowed a lot of Masonic structures to impart into the organizational structure of the Future Farmers. Um, Tro, I do not want to destroy the world. Um, so Freemasons did not found the USA. Many of the founders were Freemasons, but many of the founders were not. I do think Freemasonry and some of its philosophical ideas played a role in the development of Freemasonry, played a role in the development and the founding of the USA, but not exclusively, and not even in a majority sense. It's got a lot of constitutional or Masonic elements to it. Again, you have to be careful with some of these adverbs or adjectives, right? Largely, yeah, maybe not largely, but certainly some elements. Certainly the lack of referencing to a specific religion or specific religious understanding, and I would say the first establishment clause or non-establishment clause are certainly religious in kind of influence or inspiration. Although, also, Joel, to a big part of this, this is one of those ideas of don't reinvent the wheel. I mean, because Freemasonry itself borrowed a lot of its governing philosophies from various other philosophies, and America borrowed a lot of its ideas from, for example, ancient Rome and Roman philosophy and Roman governance, as well as England and the Magna Carta. And there's not a single thing or entity you can point to that solely result in the founding of America. It's a hodgepodge of different ideas and ideals, and the same is true of Freemasonry. I mean, Freemasonry borrows ideas or philosophies from Egyptian mysticism, Chinese mythology, Islam, Christianity, Stoic philosophy, and obviously primarily stonemasonry and stonemason guilds. So I don't think it's good or bad. Well, I guess I would rechange that and say I think it's good because I love Freemasonry and I think the philosophies contained therein make the world a better place. But I think we have to be careful about how much credit we give to Freemasonry for anything, on the positive or the negative, right? Because there are conspiracy theorists who are negative towards Freemasonry and will overemphasize Freemasonry's influence. However, by the same token, there are people who love Freemasonry, like me, who will overemphasize the value of Freemasonry in the other direction. I think they did to a certain extent, Joel, to a certain degree. Jamal al-Din Afghani was a famous Muslim Freemason, is just one. And that is really cool, Rondo, because interesting enough, Morocco is one of the places where Muslim countries where Freemasonry is very kind of popular and well known. Yes, Ataturk. He was the first president of Turkey, right? He was for sure. If I got the right person. Um, Mr. Artistic J, please hit the like and subscribe button. I'm not completely disagree with you on that one, Mr. J, by the way. Um, you have to be one, ask one. What you do, absolutely they were. And not just that, but later on, Spirit, yes, Joel, they are connected to Morocco. After the help with the Underground Railroad, during Jim Crow era and let's say the 1890s through the 1930s and 40s, and even later, when black men were having a hard time joining civil society or social groups, Prince Hall provided them with the ability to do so, and in doing so, develop skills of leadership, running meetings, all the civic lessons you learn as being a Freemason, African Americans and black men learned in Prince Hall Freemasonry. Um, so yes, Joel, the red fez, both the color and the hat, are connected to Morocco. Thank you, Michelle. He was not. At least I've never heard that he was. I'm pretty positive he was not. But again, it's always possible I'm mistaken. I never heard that he was. I wish we had sword fights. That'd be way more fun, Control. Well, not that. I mean, different, but not. I mean, it's kind of the example I would give is it's kind of like if you are a natural native Spanish speaker and you hear French, right? It's different languages because they both are Romance languages. You recognize the similarities and you recognize the common thread and the common brotherhood of them. Um, well, happy you're awake now, Ryan. No worries. I was only in coffee club for a couple minutes, if that. I just went to grab a coffee quickly. But thank you for being here, Ryan. I hope you're doing well. Hit that like button. We're going to be ending this stream in a couple minutes. But it's been a great one. And like I said, September was my largest or highest ranking. There is no worldwide head of Freemasons now. Freemasonry is decentralized and jurisdictional. We have a Grand Master in Ontario, but that Grand Master is for Ontario, does not apply to, for example, Texas, which is a different Grand Master. I'm doing excellent as well. Too stressed to be blessed. Or sorry, too blessed to be stressed is one of my new favorite quotes because I think it's funny. And Nam, I hope that if you enjoyed this stream, you'll consider supporting me on Patreon. Um, and that is the example I give for Freemasonry. Like, even when I heard Masonic ritual done in Spanish, it's not my mother language. I don't speak it. I could understand what they were saying and what they were doing because I recognize the common root of Masonic ritual within those languages. I think you might be talking about something in the third degree, Joel, at least an emulation ritual, but I couldn't say for sure. Because also, don't forget, Prince Hall in Florida, where you're from, I believe, is different, has different ritual than even Prince Hall in Ontario. Yes, we do, Rondo. Yes, we do control the Earth and the Moon. Omar, welcome. Thank you for being here. I am not really into astrology. I'm a Virgo, if that helps. Yasin, welcome. Thank you for being here. Please hit that like and subscribe button if you get the chance. I truly appreciate it. If you're new to the stream, let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. Positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. That's by Manly P. Hall, right? I have not. He actually wrote that, though, before he became a Freemason. Just so people understand that, if I got the book right. You're from Turkey? That's awesome, Yasin. Welcome. Thank you for being here from Turkey. I have not. Yasin, I am from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Born and raised in Winnipeg. So yeah, all right, guys, this has been fun, but I do have to leave the stream for today. It's been 2 hours. I will be, again, pay attention to my social media. I'll have some special announcements. I will likely be doing some stuff this weekend on either my personal channel or this channel. So just pay attention for that. Thank you for being here. Have a great day. I'll see you all very soon. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Thank you, Joel. I appreciate that.